Okay, welcome back to the Greg Show. Today we're going to talk about something that hopefully everybody can agree on, not like Republican or Democrat. This is going to be about basically women's rights and an effort to stop the violence and against against women in general. There's a campaign that was brought to my attention by a young lady from Long Island who happens to be a Democrat, but we're going to work on converting her over to independent. But there's this campaign out there that's called the 1% campaign. Uh, it basically is to help women and children that are, in abusive relationships that have been raped, sexually abused, and that sort of thing. Before we get off the subject here, the website for that is www.vday.org. That's V as in Victor, day.org, O-R-G. So check out that website and see what they're all about. And it's actually a pretty good campaign they got going on. It's been going on since 1998. Those of you women that are familiar with the Vagina Monologue, the founder of that is basically the founder of this movement. What it is basically is it wants to give 1% of the government to give basically 1% of our defense budget to women's rights and to this movement in order to set up shelters, crisis hotlines, things like that. To me, I think the biggest part of this all is education. Rape, that's a terrible thing, but what can you really do to stop it except for trying to get in the minds of societies and individual criminals and stopping them from raping girls? I mean, you could try to not let yourself get in a situation, but it's not much you can do. As far as domestic violence, I believe that there's a lot we can do, and through education, go to the schools, tell these girls, the guy hits you, you leave. All these, women's shelters and stuff like that for battered women. I really don't. I have a hard time understanding why these women stay with these men. They say fearful. If I was them, I'd be scared to be getting hit again. So I think basically, all you young girls out there, if a guy hits you, you leave. It should be that simple. Usually, they hit you once, they're gonna hit you again. So these women that have been battered for 10 or 15 years, I feel bad for them, but mainly because of their stupidity. They could leave. I'm sure they didn't start, it's different if the guy maybe, 10, 15 years into a relationship all of a sudden starts beating you, but I'm sure that's the minority. I'm sure, within your first big few fights, if he's going to hit you, he might hit you. And that's wrong. And you girls out there, don't be hitting men either, because that's not right either. I know you don't do any physical harm most of the time, but it's still not right. It's the aspect of hitting. It's not necessarily the physical harm that you cause somebody. So check out that website. It's actually a pretty good movement. Like I said, I don't agree with everything that they say, but they have a lot of good points, and anything raising 1% of our defense budget for any purpose is pretty good, especially to help women and it's to me, especially the children that are involved in that. The women, if they choose to stay in an abusive relationship, that's their choice. But if you have kids and you subject your kids to this abuse and to witness this abuse, that's just horrible. So you got to do something about that.